Well, this morning we are delighted to have back with us LeeAnn Franklin. We always enjoy having LeeAnn join us. She brings such light to us. And today she's talking about learning to walk in the dark. Sounds dangerous. Finding our footing when the ground shifts. At my age, that's always a difficult thing. LeeAnn is a transition guide, spiritual companion, chaplain, and a grief counselor. She's also the founder of Second Act Soul Coaching. She holds a Master's of Divinity and a Master's of BD, I'm not sure, of Board Certified Chaplaincy. Her approach integrates wisdom, self-compassion, and gentle action, helping people meet life as it is, honor what it has been, and move forward with clarity, courage, and grace. Let us welcome LeeAnn to our midst.
Mhm.
Hi, LeeAnn.
Hi, thank you so much. I love being with you all. It's a gift to be here with you today. And I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Okay, are you seeing things? Are you seeing my
Yes.
feed?
Mhm.
Great, thank you. All right, Holly, your prayer was so beautiful. Just touches my heart. So let's continue in the spirit of Holly's prayer and settle in for meditation. So again, just get comfortable in your seats. Actually, before we start meditation, I just thought of something. I really want today's session to be helpful. So I invite you to grab a piece of paper and a pen, or you can open your notes app. Because what I'm going to invite us to do is I'm going to offer some practices and some thoughts and some ideas. And not all of them will speak to you, but that's exactly how it should be. Some are going to land, some won't. Some will be more relevant to you right now. But I'd like you to be able to write down. I'm going to be offering some reflection prompts. So if you're able to get a piece of paper and write down, take some notes, just go ahead and take a minute and get yourself set up.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's get settled for meditation. So I'd like us just to take a breath together. Breathe in and out. And if you're comfortable doing so, just soften your gaze or close your eyes. And just notice your breath. We're not trying to change it. Just notice your inhale, where you're feeling it most in your body. Maybe in your nostrils or your chest or your stomach. Just that gentle flow in and out. Oxygen coming, breath leaving. And as you notice your breath, I invite us to reflect on our life as it is today. And let's start by noticing any parts that feel good. What feels warm in your heart? Maybe it was your coffee first thing this morning, or seeing the sunshine when you opened your shades or curtains. Or maybe it was just the gift of waking up this morning, knowing that not everybody got to. Maybe your heart is feeling warmed by someone you love, maybe a pet that's coming to mind, or maybe somebody's died that you still feel close to. Just notice the feeling of what's good, what love feels like in your heart right now. Feel that warmth, that tenderness. And now I invite you to let something come to mind that doesn't feel certain or clear, something that you're wrestling with, something that you don't know what the outcome will be. And when you bring that to mind, just notice where you feel that in your body. As something is coming to my mind right now, I feel kind of a tightness in my chest and a heaviness in my stomach. Maybe you're feeling the same. Maybe you're feeling a grip in your solar plexus, or maybe you're feeling a catch in your throat or a tightness in your temples. Maybe you're feeling an all over sense of weariness. Whatever you're feeling, or if you're feeling nothing at all, it's all fine. It's the noticing that matters. It's just being with ourselves. This is what it is to be human, to hold the light and the darkness, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. So let's return again to our breathing. Again, notice the inhale, the exhale, breathing in, breathing out. Let us be with our breath, be with ourselves as we are right now. Especially as we imagine, as we think about what doesn't feel certain right now. And I invite us to imagine when you step into a room, so say you're in the dark and you step into a brightly lit room. At first you can't see. Your eyes are trying to adjust, but if you stay, if you don't panic, if you stay, if you don't rush back to the light, if you're there in the darkness, your eyes will adjust. So going from the light to the dark, your eyes do adjust. And this isn't willpower, it's how you're made. Given a little time, we all begin to see what was there all along. And that's what today's about. Not turning the lights back on immediately, but learning to see in the dark what's actually here. So as we conclude our meditation, I invite you just once again, take in one more breath out. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back into our room. Thank you for joining me. And so, like Doug said, our talk is now learning to walk in the dark. When I was with you last, we talked about my Camino pilgrimage, and we talked about life as a pilgrimage, and about how we're already all on our sacred path. And this morning, I want to stay on that path, but to be honest about something, sometimes the path goes dark. After my first talk, several of you asked for this. You requested that I speak to what we're all living through, our continually changing political landscape and cultural landscape. It's like we can't wake up any morning without seeing breaking news and hearing something different. They wanted me to speak about this continually changing landscape and how to keep our footing in it. So that's what this is. I titled it Learning to Walk in the Dark, finding our footing when the ground shifts. And if we're honest, the ground is always shifting, not just in political and cultural ways, but in our personal lives. It is what it is to be human, that we think that things are certain. We think that we are certain. We think that we are the same, or that we're going to be the same, or that our relationships are going to be the same, or that life is going to be the same. And I hope I'm not the one to break it to you, but that's not true. So let's talk about the terrain. The terrain has changed. Let me name what we all might be feeling, why we might be feeling the dark right now. Just in terms of our country, we just celebrated 4th of July. We've been talking about soccer and the world coming together. And we've thought that things were going to be a certain way. We thought that the rules that we were all ascribing to were mutual respect, and that the dignity of every person was solid ground under our feet, that we were all walking together, and that we were hoping and working towards the greatest good for the greatest number of people. We didn't think we had to check on whether that ground would hold. We trusted it. Am I alone here? Are you feeling the same thing? We kind of maybe took that for granted, that was a shared objective. But now many of us are feeling that footing shift. Some of the trail markers that we counted on, they've been moved or they've been taken down, and it really feels like it's getting darker. So I want to be careful here. I'm not asking us to grieve some golden age that never existed. That ground was more contested than we wished, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't as golden for all people. We know that. So what I'm saying is the trail that we thought we were promised is the trail we're still responsible for keeping. We are the ones who walk it now. So maybe today's talk can be, about honoring very real grief and very real concerns and fear, and also hope and possibility that by walking the path, we actually can shape the path in the ways that embody what Center for Universal Oneness is all about: faith, love, peace, and joy. We can carry those hopes with us. And here's where those of us who have sat with the dying know, and I find it such a privilege, in my role as hospice chaplain. The dark is not the absence of the divine. It's where we learn to see by a different light. And I think if we can hold on to that, that's one thing that really gives me solace and helps me stay hopeful in the midst of dark. Let me say it again. The dark is not the absence of the divine, but it's where we can learn to see by a different light. And I want to say this also: the ground shifts in more than one way. Yes, we're all feeling the political and cultural shifts, but for some of us today, the darkness is about isn't just about what's happening in the world. It's closer in. It's a diagnosis we didn't see coming. It's struggle with, our loved ones' addictions, or your love for somebody caught in, lack of reciprocation. It's grief, or it's a relational concern, or a fear that we haven't said out loud to anybody. Wherever your darkness is coming from, or wherever your loved one's darkness is coming from, just know that you're not alone. Being in the dark invites us to learn a different way of seeing, like I said, but it invites us into some different ways of being, some different practices that can help us find our way through it. So much hope here. I love what the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron says, that the ground is always shifting, whether we like it or not. And that our suffering, our discomfort, our malaise, our fear, it comes not from the shifting of the ground, because like she says, like it's true, it's always shifting, but it's from our wanting to hold on to what we wish we could get back and we can't. It's so she says that we've heard this a lot, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So we can make suffering a little more optional when we embrace that this is the way things are. Things always have been shifting, and we can find some ways to be in it that feel more sustaining. Sound like a plan for today? Okay, so let's go. Let's talk about principle number one. I'm going to share some principles here, about 11 of them, about how to see in the dark. So the first one is, like we talked about in the meditation, just to let ourselves get oriented, let our eyes adjust to a new way of seeing. So how do we walk in this? When the dark falls, I know that I'm this way. When something happens in my life or in my loved one's life, my instinct is to want to rush in and fix it. I've got tools, I've got skills, I've got strategies, and I don't want to see my loved ones or myself suffer. So again, rushing in and fixing it fast. Or another tendency is to look away, to pretend that like that darkness doesn't exist. Both of those are ways of not seeing. The actual practice is to stay still, to stay present long enough to take in what's actually here, to keep our eyes open and to let them adjust. So this is our first reflection question. What is the honest state of things for you right now? For you, for your loved ones, for the world you love? And what have you been, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. What have you been maybe trying to avoid? And what would it help to gently see, to name as reality, and to have the hope and confidence that, you can engage this in a way that is going to be helpful. So just take a moment if this speaks to you. Is there something that you've been squinting to avoid seeing? Now let's move on to principle number 2. Decide how you want to be seen. The second practice is how you show up. And this one I feel really tenderly about. So let me slow down a little bit. When you walk in the dark, you get to decide how you want to be seen. Part of this is about safety, about we really, our nervous system, we want to only do what our nervous system can really handle. We can stretch out of our comfort zone a little bit, but if we go too far, then we we can cause more fear and ourselves to be more settled. So this is individual for each person. So how do you want to show up? If you want to, you can wear camouflage and lie low. So some people in this current political environment, retreating and maybe monitoring how much political information we want to take in, keeping ourselves safe, keeping our nervous system safe. That's a valid option. You can wear reflective gear, stay visible enough to feel safe, but minimize what crashes up against you. Does that make sense? Or other people feel like wearing our hearts on our sleeve and letting our beliefs be plainly seen as we walk. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. And the answer can change over time. You may feel one way one week and one way another week. But I think it's really attuning to ourselves, knowing our needs. That's why, just like we did in our meditation and in Holly's prayer, just turning that light inward and seeing what we're capable of, what we're called to do, how we can support and sustain ourselves as we show up to support and sustain others. So showing up it's about more than protecting yourself. It's about presence. When someone you love is in their own dark, it's, somebody you love is facing a diagnosis, a loss, a fear. We can also decide how we want to show up for them. Do we wait, unsure of what to say until it's too late? Or do we decide that we're going to show up imperfectly, just with our hearts and say, I may not know how to do this, but I am here and I care. So we may decide to, even though we feel uncertain about it, go ahead and make the call, sit in the hard place with them, just show up. I love the song, Leonard Cohen's song, came to me the other night. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget the perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I thought, it was, I have a friend who's going through a really hard thing. And I thought, I just want to show up today. I might not be perfect, but I'm going to bring my imperfect self and admit I don't know what to say, but I'm here and I care. So we don't need to show up until the perfect words arrive or until we're less afraid. Presence isn't about having the right words. It's about willing to be seen in the dark with someone, awkward, unsure, and there anyway. That's a choice we get to make. So again, the question isn't how we want to be seen as we walk. It's for the people in our life who are walking through something dark, how do we want to show up? So just think about this for this stretch of this trail. What do you need to feel protected? Do you need to be protected or do you need to be visible? Do you need to show up in a different way? Do you need to feel good about the ways that you are showing up? How can you honor what you need without feeling bad about yourself? So just take a moment, and if this is speaking to you, go ahead and write down what feels up for you in this. And then principle 3, trust the headlamp. This is one of my favorites because it takes the pressure off. When you walk at night, and when I was on the Camino, I did not trust, I didn't do my timetable very well when I decided to do a double leg of the journey and didn't count in all the hills and the forest part that I'd be walking. So I ended up walking in the forest at night with my headlamp. And so that experience informed this principle. When you walk at night, headlight lamps may be 3 feet in front of you. That's it. And so when I was walking, I got so focused on those 3 feet in front of me and trying to avoid the roots and the branches and the little rocks that might cause me to fall. And that ended up being a gift. I was so focused on those 3 feet in front of me that I wasn't worried about whether I'd find a place to stay 2 miles down the path. So you don't have to see 50 yards ahead. You don't have to see 10 yards ahead. When you stay inside your little circle of light, you take the steps it shows, and then the circle moves with you. Keep that image with you. That headlamp, the circle is moving with you, and that small light's going to carry you the whole way. So much of the anxiety right now comes from straining to see the whole path, whether it's in our culture, our political world, or in trying to figure out what's going to happen with any questions in our personal lives. What's going to happen next year? What's going to happen in 5 years? But when we can trust that little small circle of light and know it's working with us, it's carrying us, it's holding us, then that can change our perspective. So I just invite you to reflect, what's the next right step? Just that in that small circle of light, what's the next right step for you right now? What would it mean if you could set down the long view long enough to just to focus on what's right in front of you? If that's speaking to you, go ahead and make a note. What's your next right steps? And that takes us to principle number 4. You are not walking alone, and you never were. When we're walking in the dark, it's a wonderful time to call on your companions, the ones you can see walking right beside you, like the folks here in our gathering today. I know you support each other so beautifully and so well. And then there's the ones that we can't see, the great cloud of witnesses, those who have walked in the dark before us and they've made it through. They may be our personal ancestors, or they may be, historical people who inspire us. Recently, I've been thinking of Harriet Tubman, she moved through stars far more dangerous than ours. I mean, she moved through nights far more dangerous than ours, and she was guided by the stars and by the ancestors who went before her. She did not move alone, and she did not let others move alone either. So who is walking with you? In body, in memory, in spirit? Whose courage can you borrow today? And take a moment and write that down if that's speaking to you. And that this really follows to walk with purpose. Your purpose can lead the way. Harriet Tubman didn't walk only for herself. She walked on behalf of others, those who were enslaved. And that calling was so clear to her. That purpose pulled her through that dark night again and again and again. So I want to ask you the question that can become your own headlamp. This can inform your own little circle of light. For whom are you walking? I know that, I've just had a second granddaughter, and my 2 granddaughters certainly inspire my reason to be the best me I can be and do the most I can. So there are 2 that I am walking for. But for whom are you walking? What are your hopes for them? What are your hopes for yourself? And what are your hopes for our world? And take a moment to reflect on that. Keep your eyes on the trail. In the dark, it's easy to get tripped up by roots, by branches. And in life, the roots and branches, they can be the opinions of people who don't really matter to you. They can be the noise and the scrolling that pulls you down. What is tripping you up, or what has the tendency to trip you up? Part of the wisdom that, part of what can inform and inspire our little circle of light is knowing what you can step over, what you can step around, and just keep walking. So knowing what trips you up can be really helpful. But this is important also. Some things are not just roots and branches to step over. Sometimes there's something that we really need to pay attention to. Sometimes there's a spark in the forest, and a spark can become a wildfire. So part of walking wisely is knowing the difference. What deserves to be ignored and stepped over and avoided, and what's a real danger, or what could be a real danger that needs your attention, your vigilance, your voice, or your intervention. That wisdom to know the difference is everything when we're keeping our eyes on the trail. So, what can you step around right now and leave behind or minimize? And what right now is a spark, a little fire that actually needs to be tended or put out? And this can be a personal thing, or again, in your personal world or in our collective world. And also look up. The seventh practice is the balance to the keeping your eyes on the trail. That's important, but also we need to look up. We can get so mired in the bramble, so much in the weeds, too much scrolling, too much of the small and the close in things that pull us down. I know that I can just get so caught in that little phone that I forget the wider world. But we need the opposite. We need spaciousness. We need the wide open sky, the balance, the brilliance of the stars. The other night I was feeling just worried about some family concerns, and then I was worried about work and my patients, and I could just feel the churning in my chest, and I just opened my back door and stepped outside and went to the middle of my yard, looked up, felt the cool night air, saw the stars, breathed in, breathed out. And 5 minutes later, I came in a new person. Well, at least my heart wasn't clutched anymore. So that wide open sky, the brilliance of the stars. When you look up on a truly dark night, you can see 1,000 points of light you can never see by day. Each one gives us a chance to make a wish, to name a hope. So the reminder to not only keep your eyes on the trail, but to look up. When did you last look up? What hope would you name if you could let yourself take in the whole sky? The eighth practice, never underestimate the power of a campfire. Since the most ancient of times, people on a journey have stopped, they've gathered wood, they've rubbed sticks together and made a fire. And then they've done the oldest human thing. They've gathered around it, shared what's on their hearts, or just sat in silence. They've talked about the bruises of the day, but they've watched the embers rise to the sky and just felt not alone, a part of something, a part of a group. So I feel like we're in a little circle around a fire this morning, the fire of the holy. A circle around a fire is a circle of common humanity. The warmth heals in its own quiet way. So a campfire, how can it extend to other corners of our lives? I invite us to reflect on, what does community look like and feel like for you? Where's your circle? And what would help you step more inside it? And principle number 9 is listen to your body, make camp. This is the signal that it's okay to rest. It's okay to rest. Your body knows some things that your mind will argue with. A mind that's overwired will tell you all that you have to do, all that we have to do, our list. Then our nervous systems can be running on too little sleep. A body that hasn't been fed well in a while doesn't run well. So no sleep, compromised sleep, lack of nutrition, lack of movement, they all are signals to the nervous system that something's wrong, something wrong, something wrong. But we can have an antidote to that. So the practice is to learn our own particular signs. What do we need? What does this body need right now in this, not only in this season, but in this day? What do I need? And can I give myself permission to prioritize that? Maybe we need to move, maybe we need a walk. Maybe we need, like I said, different food. So do you need shelter? Do you need Do you need rest? Do you need to pitch your camp somewhere that's going to really nourish you? What is your body telling you right now? And what would it mean to trust your signals instead of pushing past them? Principle 10, know your needs and meet them. This follows right on the setting up camp. This is where I get specific because vague self-care rarely helps. How is the quality of your sleep really? What delicious meal do you most need to cook? Or let somebody else make it for you? And this is building on what I just said, but how can you give yourself permission, the permission you've been waiting for? Can you give that permission to yourself? What would that look like? What do you need to truly take the soul-giving, life-affirming, body-needing actions that will really maybe not improve everything about all that we're concerned about, but it could make the next night's sleep a little bit better. Yesterday, I took an hour-long walk without any headphones in. And so no podcasts, no music, just walking, listening to the birds um, and feeling the sunshine on me. And I slept better last night than I have in a while. So I'm trying to take my own suggestions here. So what does this specifically look like for you? And principle 11. This is the one that holds all the other practices. Walk towards the dawn. Here's the quiet truth at the center of everything. You don't need the daylight in order to take the next step. The dark has its own gifts. The stars you'd never see by day, the fire, the faces gather around it, the small light you carry 3 feet at a time. So instead of, I know I do this, I want things all to be good all the time. I want everybody that I love and myself to feel no suffering, to feel happy, but that's not how it works. If we didn't have the night, we couldn't appreciate the day. So, and if we didn't have the night, we wouldn't learn to rely on skills and practices and prayers that can really sustain us. So instead, I tell myself all this time, instead of wishing that things were always light all the time, that to trust that the darkness does have its gifts and that that's going to make the light even brighter. So if we can learn to see, if we can learn to take in these gifts, and if we can keep walking, not frantically, but faithfully, because the dawn's not something we have to manufacture. I think that's what it is to live a life of faith. The dawn is not something we have to manufacture. It comes on its own. It's coming anyway. And there are things that we can do, and there are ways that we can add to the light just by being who we are. We're people of hope. And to keep walking in hope, in faith, then we add to the brightness of the day that's already dawning. So what's one faithful step that you can take today? And where can you notice and celebrate the light that's already here and that is slowly and surely getting brighter? So here's the whole path that we've walked today. 11 practices for walking in the dark, getting oriented and letting your eyes adjust, deciding how you want to be seen and how you want to show up, trusting that headlamp. 3 feet is enough, that circle of light. Remember, you are not walking alone. Walk with purpose. Keep your eyes on the trail and also look up. Never underestimate a campfire. Listen to your body and make camp. Know your needs and meet them. And when it gets darkest, have the courage to walk toward the dawn because the dawn is coming anyway. You will not need these every single night, but hopefully, one of them or two of them or three of them speaks to you right now, and you'll be able to take away some personal practices that can make the day a little softer, a little gentler, the night a little less fearful. That's my hope. So I want to send you out. The dark is not the end of the path. It's where your eyes learn to see what daylight has washed out. The stars, the fires, the faces around it, the light you carry 3 feet at a time. You were given eyes that adjust. You were given companions, seen and unseen. You were given a purpose to light the way. So walk on. Dawn is not required for you to move, and it is coming anyway. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you for walking with me this morning.
Wow, thank you so much, LeeAnn. So much information and inspiration there. It's my pad is full of things to think about and to consider and try to get some perspective on. And what's really surprising to me is how well you weave your own journey into information that can be shared by anybody on the journey. And I really love that about your presentation. Thank you so much.